Hello, family. You just tuned into Better Together, sharing our lupus stories. And I'm Chanel Gabriel, and we are all the way live and talking about lupus and helping you live your best life. So please put some purple hearts in the chat as we welcome to the stage the lupus doc, my co-host, Dr. Michaela Baird.
Hi, Chanel. It's so great to see you today.
So great to see you. Yes. And how have things been since we last got together?
Things have been busy. I shared with you that I actually teach doctors in training, and November and December is their month to learn about rheumatology. So we've just been busy teaching and learning, but it's been fun.
Oh, that's such important work. And so you're teaching them just to become rheumatologists, or is it just about I'm just curious. Please tell me a little bit more.
These are medical students who haven't decided what kind of doctors they want to be. So they're getting exposed to everything, and they spend a few months learning about all lupus and other types of autoimmune diseases and orthopedic conditions to decide what type of doctors they want to be.
Oh yeah, rope them in, rope them in. We definitely need more rheumatologists in our field, right?
We're working hard on that.
That's great. That's great. You're doing such good work. I'm pretty busy. It's like just getting ramped for the holidays. It's so insane. The end of year and all of that. I was at the Lupus Gala for the Lupus Research Alliance, and that was really nice seeing a bunch of people that were in this show that have been on this show all in the same room. So it's been a busy time, but the holidays are here. The holidays are here.
That's such great work. That's such amazing, Chanel. And I just think that I see you in so many spaces, and I love that you continue to support and advocate every space that you're in. So, but what do you think? Should we talk about today's show?
We should. Let's get to it. I'm excited. It's really cool.
So today's topic is Feast Without a Flare. So we're talking about holidays with lupus. And we're talking about ways to keep your lupus in check while still enjoying the fun and the insanity sometimes of the holidays.
Oh, definitely the insanity. Just it's so much going on all the time. But Dr. Michaela, what's your favorite holiday?
I don't know if it's because we're coming off of it, but I would say Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the costume?
I think it's just the kid in me comes out. It's lighthearted and fun, and not all the stress of the food piece with it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What about you?
Just candy. For me, it's actually Labor Day is my favorite holiday, just because it's so connected to my family. My family are from Trinidad, so it used to be the time we'd all see each other. So holidays are a big thing for me, but I can't wait to hear from our guests what their favorites are. So let's introduce them. So our first guest is Jeanine Cox. Welcome. Put some hearts in chat. Welcome, Jeanine.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, so glad to have you.
Thank
now,
you.
everybody, Jeanine is a lupus patient advocate, a support group facilitator, and she is a member of the LVC, the Lupus Voices Council, which is an important part of the Lupus Accelerating Breakthroughs Consortium, a big fancy organization that is trying to find new ways and new paths to treatments for lupus. So she does a whole lot of amazing stuff. She's a registered nurse, but a fun fact, she finally got her passport stamped for the first time, a sister trip for her birthday, your 60th birthday, right?
Yes.
Yep.
We went to Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. And Jeanine, what's your favorite holiday?
Oh, I have to say Christmas. I love the excitement of my little nieces and nephews. Thinking about Santa.
Yes, Santa. I need Santa to come and drop some things off for me. But that's an excellent choice. So we're so glad to have you. All right.
Thank you.
And for our next guest, we have Ricci Danielle Smalls. I told you I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it right. Ricci Danielle Smalls.
It's all good. Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey. So glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Ricci, you are awesome. Ricci is a self-proclaimed Navy brat from Des Moines, Iowa, who moved all over the Northeast before settling in Georgia around 10 years old. And she's married with 3 beautiful children and 1 grandbaby. I was about to say the children are not babies. We got the grandbaby now.
Yes.
She loves to write poetry, dance, and she also loves to serve her church in her spare time. She was an honoree, and you left this out. She was an honoree at the Brave Awards Lupus Gala. And you're just always spreading awareness any way you can when it comes to lupus. So
Yes.
we had to highlight that. And your fun fact is you like to collect beautiful scarves from different countries.
I do. It's not necessarily that, I go to the country, some I do, but my niece just went to Paris and she brought me back a scarf in my favorite print, which is leopard.
So forget the magnets. You want scarves. Got it.
Yes.
And your favorite holiday?
I'm going to go with Christmas. It's when my king was born,
Oh, there you go. Amen. Amen to that. Thank you for joining us. And next we have the lupus dietitian herself. Welcome, Tanya Freirich.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
So glad to have you. Now, Tanya is a registered dietitian and nutritionist based in North Carolina. She owns and operates virtual private practice and serves people across the country living with lupus and other autoimmune diseases. Now, she has more than a decade of experience in nutrition counseling. You have a master's degree in nutrition, and you help your clients make personalized, sustainable, meaning we're going to keep doing this, dietary and lifestyle changes through one-on-one counseling and coaching programs. We are so excited to have you back. You're with us in season 1, I think. And here you are. So I had to say this fun fact, though. She loves tennis and pickleball and tries to play in the local courts 1 to 2 times a week. You're going to have to teach me how to play. But what's your favorite holiday?
I agree with Dr. Michaela because, I'm sorry, Halloween, it just feels like a fun, spooky season where you do get to be creative with costume. I usually like to read 1 or 2 spooky books during the month of October. And it just feels like it is playful. It gets to be something uniquely American that everyone can get behind and just have fun with.
Awesome, Tanya. So great to have you. Thank you for sharing about Halloween. And last but not least, joining us for our Spotlight on Research segment, we have Dr. Megan Lockwood again. Hi, Dr. Lockwood.
Great to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So Dr. Lockwood is rheumatologist and assistant professor of medicine at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. She's also the program director of the Lupus program and actively involved in clinical research trials to investigate new treatments for both lupus and systemic sclerosis. So Dr. Lockwood, what is your favorite holiday?
I'm with you and Tanya. I love Halloween. That was always such a fun holiday to grow up. Our family loves to dress up, have fun, focused on having a good time, not really focused on presents, just being present with each other and having a great experience.
Awesome. We're going to have you back for a Halloween costume themed show. All right. We can't wait to talk to you.
Yeah, this is so great. I'm so excited for this conversation. And we have a demonstration coming up. So all of you at home or wherever you are in this conversation too. Feel free to use the chat to ask questions, chime in with your thoughts, show love throughout this show. All right, so let's bring in our first guest. Put some purple hearts in the chat as we welcome Jeanine Cox.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Jeanine, we're happy to have you here too. So we invite all our guests to kind of share about their lupus stories. So we'd love to start with yours.
Okay. My lupus story starts at Adelphi University. I was studying nursing, and I just kept getting sick all the time. I kept getting sinus infections. I would have joint pains. I was always fatigued. In fact, the running joke in my house was I was born tired because I was always sleeping. And after I graduated school, I met my husband at Adelphi and we got married. And about 6 months after we got married, my father-in-law suddenly passed away at the age of 57, a massive heart attack. And it was at that point when my body just completely shut down. I felt like I had the flu. I started with the joint pains and the stiffness, low-grade fevers. And I took a couple of weeks off from work thinking that's all I needed was some rest. Eventually got to the point where I could hardly walk. My husband was literally picking me up to help me walk to the bathroom. My hands started to look like my grandmother's. She had rheumatoid arthritis. So all my fingers had these like knots on them and I couldn't bend them. And at that point, I knew it was something more serious than the flu. So I immediately went to an orthopedic specialist and I told him, I can't bend my hands. I can't work. I can't use my fingers. Can you just fix it? And he listened to me and all the aches and pains that I had all throughout my body. And he immediately told me that I needed to see a specialist. And he got up, made a phone call. I had an appointment the next day with a rheumatologist. And within 3 months, I was diagnosed with systemic lupus.
Wow.
At first, I didn't believe it because nobody in my family had anything like that. And, I was pretty healthy up until that point. I was on kick line. I did dance, track, basketball, gymnastics, you name it. But eventually I stopped doing all the sports and stuff that I was doing because my joints would hurt too much.
Mm.
So when I was finally diagnosed, it all started to make sense.
Mm.
I
I'm so
probably
glad.
had this back in high school.
You had symptoms for so long at that point in time, but I
Yeah.
mean, 3 months feels like it's definitely a long time when you're in pain. But
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
curious, you got diagnosed around the time you were married, you had a
Mhm.
family. How do you feel like having lupus impacted your family?
Oh, it made a big difference, especially when the kids were young, because they didn't understand, mommy's sick. They see other kids and their friends hanging out and going to the park and doing different things, and I just couldn't do all the things that other parents could do. But as they got older and I started to explain my illness, they were able to understand and to be more helpful around the house. And they learned to be more independent and do things for themselves. Because some days they'd come home from school and I'd still be in the bed. So they knew if I was in the bed, I was not making dinner. They were going to have to wait till dad gets home. So they make their own snacks or whatever. As far as like planning trips and stuff, nothing is spontaneous when you have lupus. Everything has to be planned out to the detail, because I need all my medications. What if I get a sinus infection? What if I get a gout attack? There's so many things I have to think about and prepare in order to go away.
Jeanine, how does that carry into the holidays? I'm sure that makes them more stressful, but could you share?
Oh, absolutely. When the kids were young, I really used to stress myself out over the holidays. My parents were big on Christmas, especially my mom. Everything had to be done to the hilt, outside decorated, inside decorated, every inch of the house. And I tried to keep that up for a little while, but it got to a point where actually my husband made me realize, you do all this running around and everything and driving yourself crazy. And then for like a week after Christmas, you can't even get out of bed. Does it make sense to you? And after I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I guess it doesn't. I don't need to do everything that my parents did. So eventually I started dialing it back. I don't decorate the whole yard outside anymore. I just do the inside. And now that we're all adults, we don't even give gifts to everyone anymore. We cut that out. Now I just do like my little nieces and nephews, the ones that expect gifts. But as far as my sisters, there's like five of us, sisters and brothers. We don't exchange gifts anymore. We used to pick a name out of the hat and do that. But now it's just like, we have everything we need. We're all professionals. We don't have to stress out over finding the perfect gift. So it just makes it so much easier now to just relax and enjoy the holidays.
No, I love that. The idea of just putting a name in a hat and that being it, as opposed to trying to figure out, especially, you mentioned you have a huge family. So I can imagine that being insane. And this is just your immediate family, but
Yes.
definitely trying to limit the amount of gifts you're getting for everybody is a bit much, right? That's a big help, right? But
It is.
speaking of the huge family, like how do you manage the people energy that the holidays can bring? Like the energy, like trying to entertain and catch up with everybody. How do you manage that?
Well, lucky for me, all my family gets along great. We have a great time when we get together. We play games. We're into board games and Jenga and gestures and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's really not stressful for me. We look forward to getting together and just having a good time.
Amazing. That's amazing. I love the family focus. Well, thank you, Jeanine. Those were really helpful. We'll have you rejoin the conversation in a few.
All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah. I love that. The idea of like maybe just focusing on the gifts so you don't have as much of the conversation drama. Like, let's play Jenga and let's battle it out there. Well, let's welcome our next guest to the stage. Please put some purple hearts in the chat for Ricci Danielle Smalls.
Hey.
Hi, thank you for joining us. So we're going to ask you, like Jeanine, to share your lupus story.
Yes, so I was diagnosed with lupus SLE in 2015, but I was having issues 10 years prior to that. And it took all of those 10 years to get my diagnosis. Um, I believe having being pregnant with my son and my daughter kind of back to back caused a lot of the symptoms to kind of, not be as prevalent. I think my hormones were, causing that, but it seemed to be as soon as I had my last child, my baby girl, who was born on Christmas Day, I was struggling. And so I just got back to getting tested. I was getting tested every year for 10 years. And some years, getting tested twice if the pain was really bad. And they were just like, Miss Smalls, we don't know. So diagnosed after having my daughter. And whew, I tell you, I went through quite a few rheumatologists. Some were like lupus, yes. Some were like no. Some felt like I was misdiagnosed. So we have that. But finally, I found a doctor who was like, yes. And then I found out that it was in my family. I believe my mom's great aunt had lupus and had complications, and I didn't know it. So it all made sense. But I went through a lot trying to get diagnosed for sure. And then at first I tried to, no medications, nothing, just try to eat better, things like that. And then my daughter was so small, she was about 2 or 3, and I was like, I need a little help. So we decided on, a plan with my doctor, and that's how it all happened. I started having a lot of hand pain and knee pain at first, for sure. That's when I was I got to get tested.
Oh man, I mean, I'm glad you at least kept asking and kept trying, because I think that's sometimes the thing they tell us no and we don't keep going. And I'm so glad you're able to find your way to a diagnosis. Now, you just mentioned you're having a small child. Jeanine just spoke about this. How did you navigate telling your children about your illness, and how did you explain it to them?
That was so difficult. I had at the time my daughter was 2 or 3, so then my middle child, he was about 4 or 5, and then my oldest, he was in middle school, so it was so hard. And my oldest, he was playing sports year round. He was doing basketball and football and even basketball year round, like, not just during basketball season, but also traveling with basketball, where we would go, out of state. And I was responsible to get not just him to practice, but his friends. I was the community mom, and it was tough, but they started to understand. And even, fast forward to now, they are, my everything. They help me, they understand, they're sweet, they're kind, but, they're a little too young to get what was going on. But as we just talk forward, teaching them about this, they're a little up like, whatever.
Oh no, is it just me, or I think we're cutting out just a little bit?
Yeah, we're losing her a little bit.
Yeah. You're just cutting out just a little bit, but it sounds like you were saying that your kids have just been very helpful and been very kind and loving to you throughout this journey. Let me see. Let's see if we can let me see how if we can hear you through the next question.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned the Christmas being one of your favorite holidays, and then you slipped in there that it was your daughter's birthday as well. So that must be pretty busy time of year, but what would you say is the most challenging part for you?
I think the most challenging part is
Oh, it's cutting out just a little bit.
Maybe we
Oh,
should bring in the next guest and come back to her.
yeah, let's see, Ricci. Let's see if you can. How about this? We're going to bring in the next guest. We're going to figure out what's going on technologically, and we'll have you answer some more questions for us right after the next guest. Okay? Because we want to hear everything. All right. So now we see this. I told you, you got to be on your feet. This is a live show, y'all. So we've talked about the family part, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it a little bit later. But I'm very excited to talk about the food. Okay, the food.
Yes.
And so today on Better Together, we're doing something special with our special guest. She joined us on a previous season, and she is back with a holiday recipe that we're going to be working on together. You didn't even know you were tuned into the Cooking Network, okay? So purple hearts in the chat for the lupus dietitian, Tanya Freirich.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Yes, we have transformed this into a cooking show today to talk about healthy eating for the holidays.
I'm going to get myself set up. So let me let Dr. Michaela take over for a second.
Yes. Welcome back to the show. And I love your whole backdrop and kitchen setup. We are so excited to try our hand, as Chanel said, at a Food Network experience. So I know we shared it on our social media page, and if you haven't checked it out, you should. But what will we be making today?
Yes, so we are going to make a harvest fall salad. So using seasonally appropriate things, which means that they are cheaper and more nutritious. So we have a diced apple, and that there's so many modifications that you can make to this according to what you're interested in the most, your flavor that you love. So it could be a Honeycrisp, it could be a Gala apple. There's so many varieties.
Honeycrisp is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love it. The base is a kale salad, but again, there's people that don't love kale, and that's okay. Use mixed greens. That's an appropriate replacement. Sunflower seeds. Oh yeah, you got your kitchen set up too. Sunflower seeds, but they could be pumpkin seeds as well. Both are a great source of protein and fiber, magnesium. And then we've got some sweet potatoes and a pomegranate. So those are all the toppings that are going to go on the salad. The protein choice is also up to you. So the sunflower seeds give you a little bit, but if you want to add chicken or chickpeas, roasted chickpeas, both of those are wonderful proteins to add in here.
Okay. So Chanel will be making this along with her, coming from her lovely kitchen. We'll let Chanel finish setting up. We wanted to ask you, and I'm at work, but I have the pomegranate. So tell us a little bit about what you think makes the holidays the prime time for flair, and how does food really play a role?
Yes. Okay. So holidays being prime time for flair are a wonderful accumulation of your schedule is much, much busier. You have stress through the roof. Suddenly you're running around with a million more errands than you have usually. For people with lupus, also the temperature changes. Maybe it's the cold is making your joints feel much more uncomfortable. With all of that added stress to your schedule, you may not be getting the sleep that you need. So it's a tough time of year. There's so much joy, but I think people also put a lot of pressure on themselves.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely. So, all right. I think first things first, we should probably do the messier thing, because I feel like I am terrible with pomegranates. I literally feel like I'm a savage trying to just get the little beads out. So can you show us how to correctly open a pomegranate?
It is so fun. So I promise it's very easy. And the way that we're going to do it means that you don't get covered in pomegranate juice. So see this bravery? It is a white sweater, but I'm not going to stain it. So we want to make cuts along the top as if we're like making a lid. So they can be about, let's say, 1.5 inches away from this beautiful top part.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that you're cutting deep enough that you feel like, ooh, okay, I have successfully cut through whatever this peel rind is.
I'm working with a plastic knife, but we're going to make this work.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I figured you couldn't really have just a random scalpel in the office.
I didn't even think of it. It's a good idea.
So once you've gotten around so that those cuts meet, look, it opens so easy.
Oh, yeah. Even with the plastic.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the next part also feels easier once you know what to do. You want to look for where the lines of the white membrane is and cut along those lines.
Ah. Oh.
And that way you will not be making all of the seeds explode. You will be protecting your outfit, and You do not start pulling it apart yet. So just make those cuts and leave it intact. And for everyone out there, I did put a tutorial video on my Instagram. So if you watch this and you're like, oh, great, yes, I'm ready to do that. And then maybe you do it the next day or the day after that, feel free to go to my Instagram and I have the whole tutorial there so that you can get the cheat sheet.
One came out already.
So here's the kind of secret tool or tip is get a bowl filled with water. And you're going to want to put the pomegranate in the bowl, submerge it in the water. And that's where you start pulling it apart. And then that way you really are protecting your outfit. And look, I did it in the water and it's perfectly opened. Easy.
Yeah, it looks a little like, I don't know if there are any Stranger Things fans, but it looks like a Demogorgon.
And then just keep it under the water and you can pull out all of, they're called arils. That's the official name for the little pomegranate seeds. So you can pull out all the arils without it, again, exploding on you, making a mess all over your counter. And the little white peel on the inside or membrane just floats to the top. So it's so easy because the seeds will separate kind of naturally.
Wow, you just saved so many lives and so many white shirts with this one tip. I really appreciate it because we're going to use these pomegranates in the recipe and at least we have them ready to go. All right, so we have the pomegranates. I think I have enough here. Dr. McDonough, were you successful over there with the? I think you'll have a bowl of water.
I just got to the top cutting. We're gonna wait there because I don't have a bowl with me. But while you're doing that, Tanya, I know our viewers might want to know what made you decide to become the lupus dietitian?
Yes. So I started my journey with lupus 11 years ago, but I had an autoimmune diagnosis starting when I was 12 years old. Okay. And many of you may be very familiar with the wonderful cascade where you get one autoimmune disease and then unfortunately maybe diagnosed with another one and another one. So I had that, through my teens and 20s. And then in my late 20s, that was the lupus diagnosis. I was already a registered dietitian at that point. Oh, but during the pandemic, during 2020 is when I realized I had a lot more time on my hands, that people in the lupus community were not getting the dietary support that they need and deserve. So I pivoted my private practice to completely focus on lupus and autoimmune diseases to, of course, share my experience. Like, look, when I changed my diet, that is when I got my lupus symptoms and flares into remission. They have been for 10 years. I'm still on medications. Talk to your doctors. This is a holistic approach. But I'm on a whole lot less than I was before, and my labs are stable and symptoms don't bother me. So diet is
an important shift, but I also want to emphasize that was probably took some time, right? A lot of dedication and time.
Yes, and trial and error. I had to figure out, okay, well, this is what the research says, but what works for me personally?
Right. Amazing. So given that we're talking about holidays a little today, what are your suggestions that can make cooking and food around the holidays a little bit easier?
Yes, absolutely. Please do things in bulk. Please use one pot, easy recipes. If your hands are really bothering you, that certainly was a symptom of my lupus. My hands my grip strength just wasn't there. They were so swollen and so painful that using a knife to chop things was just not going to happen. So take advantage of the pre-chopped veggies in the freezer aisle, in the fridge. They are just as healthy. So please don't beat yourself up if it doesn't look like what it did in the past. But there's lots of easy ways to make vegetable heavy, really healthy things in big portions so that you can go ahead and freeze some leftovers so that your lunches maybe are taken care of for the whole week and you don't have to prep constantly.
Love that.
Awesome. Well, let's get into this recipe really quickly. So we got the pomegranate. I cheated and bought the kale. I wasn't going to do the bud. I cheated. This is not a brand endorsement, everyone. But what are we putting together? I have all of the ingredients. Is there any kind of method to the madness?
So the best advice I have with the kale, it looks like this, which is just like I washed it and dried it. Kale tastes a lot better if you put, like, let's say in this bowl, just a tablespoon of oil and massage it. So you're giving your kale your spa treatment of the day. You really squish it. And it takes in a little bit of that oil and it tastes so much less bitter. So I know it sounds silly. Why does my kale get a spa treatment? But I promise you it's worth it because so many people don't eat kale because they think it's bitter. On top of our kale, I have some movie magic here for y'all. So we're taking some sweet potatoes.
Oh, my movie magic's happening too.
And roasting them. You can put olive oil on it. There we go. And season it in so many ways. It could be cumin. It could be turmeric. It could be cinnamon. It could be like a rosemary. Whatever you like on your sweet potatoes, please enjoy. It's going to taste great with the salad. So in the oven. And now we have cooked roasted sweet potatoes. They are delicious. I like them in like little quarters that are a little bit thin, but you could do big chunks. And then we're just putting it on the salad. So we've got our sweet potatoes, we've got our apple, sunflower seeds, pomegranate seeds, and then the dressing. I know Chanel is going to make it for us. I have the finished product. Okay. And it is olive oil. There's a lot of options for customization here, but I used a balsamic vinegar, a little bit of fig preserves, and a splash of maple syrup. But that's where you get that customization because you can make it very balsamic-y, not sweet at all, because there are a lot of sweet components to this. Or if you have a sweet tooth and this is what convinces you to eat a salad, put a little bit of extra maple syrup. It's fine.
A little bit of.
There we go. Yeah, so we've got our olive oil. Or no, that's balsamic.
This is the balsamic. The olive oil is already in there.
Perfect.
So got that. Is it even parts about even parts?
It is half balsamic. Hold on. I have the recipe. Half balsamic. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing this for, let's say, a big salad, you're feeding everybody, it should be, let's say, a quarter cup olive oil, and then all of the other portions are half of that, or eighth of a cup of balsamic vinegar.
That was intuitive for me. So I put the preserves in. It's getting really jammy.
Yes. So it's like a little bit thick, and it will go over your salad very nicely. The maple syrup, salt and pepper, and of course, again, don't hold yourself back from seasoning. Seasoning is wonderful. It is nutritious. Obviously, we want to be careful with salt, especially if you have lupus nephritis or problems with blood pressure, but everything else has benefits. So if you love turmeric, if you love sage, if you love parsley, cumin, whatever. There we go.
All right. So I think we might have this. I'm ready to pour it in. Oh, wait, I just put my sunflower seeds. There we go. And some pomegranates.
Yes.
And everybody, I'm just going to use my hands. My hands are clean. I washed my hands, I promise. And here we go. I think I have a harvest salad in here, y'all.
Ah, look how beautiful. Perfect.
Love it. Love it. So quick question for you, Tanya. What are some substitutes that might make the holiday foods less inflammatory?
Oh, great question. So I never want to take away things that make people's hearts sing. So if you have a nostalgic dish that you cannot live without, do not feel as though you have to deprive yourself from it. Think about those other meals, because Thanksgiving is literally one meal of the whole month. Christmas Day is one meal. So what I would suggest is there's going to be so many special occasions. At those times, have reasonable portion control. Don't go crazy. But think about your other meals as a way to balance it out. So maybe do make a really hearty vegetable soup so that you can have that other meals, like your lunches. Maybe breakfast is a time that you can make sure that you have a very nutritious, let's say it's overnight oats with like ground flaxseed and chia seeds, and it's just basic, it's easy to prep, and you know, okay, breakfasts, lunches are super nutritious, and then you know what? At the company holiday party, whatever. I can't control it. I will just eat what's exciting. But that's
Enjoy
one thing.
yourself. Yeah.
Take it as like, well, it's the holiday season. Everything goes out the window because you won't feel well.
Right.
Well, what are some, thank you so much. You've been super helpful. But what are some substitutions that can make common holiday foods less inflammatory?
Sure. Okay. So, like, let's say if you are making something like mashed potatoes and you load it up with butter, cream, you just really go heavy duty with it. Honestly, olive oil or avocado oil tastes delicious in mashed potatoes. We don't have to make it as creamy. Or if you want to just mix it up, you could always do roasted potatoes. It doesn't have to be the exact same copy where you feel like, oh, this doesn't taste as good. You can try other things. Certainly fried foods, we can try to bake them. Air frying is so delicious, and it really comes out just as well as fried. Roasted, sauteed. If you have, for example, a lot of desserts around, maybe we could just have it every once in a while. Don't have it after every single meal, constantly nibbling on it, because that extra sugar is pretty inflammatory. Yeah. And then the alcohol, that's tough. There's certainly a lot of like cheersing around the holiday season. So if you feel as though you want that to be part of your season, just alternate. If you're at a party, have a glass of alcohol and then have a glass of water. And it will help you stay hydrated, slow down the pace, and help you feel a lot better the next day. Giving up on movement. A lot of people do that. It gets dark so early, and then the gym just goes out the window with, again, a tighter schedule, more errands on your list. I really would recommend maintaining that as something stable throughout the season. It will help your joints. It will help your energy so much. We sleep much more soundly when we've had movement. Our mental health is much better, especially if you have contentious conversations coming your way. Having a nice yoga session before may help you keep your zen. Yes. And then just try not to take the whole season of November, December, January as, well, it's the holidays. Enjoy things.
That's definitely a true thing. I struggle with that, like working out, trying to work out while you're doing all of the family things. Absolutely important, trying to remember all of the patterns and rhythms we have during the week. So, Tanya, this was amazing. Thank you so much for all these healthy and helpful tips for us to really think about the holidays and how we're showing up. We can't wait to bring you back and talk just a little bit towards the end, but this was great. All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to try to bring back Ricci to talk with us a little bit. Just let's see if her mic is good, because we were having a good conversation. Let's bring her back to the stage. Hey, Ricci, let's see. How are you doing over here?
Hey there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay.
We're going to jump right back in. We were talking about holidays, and I had asked you, what was challenging. Now knowing that your daughter's birthday is also Christmas.
Yes. Yeah, that really threw me for a loop. I was like, oh my goodness. But we still try to give her, the best birthday that we can. And like I said earlier, my kids are so understandable. Of course, when they were younger, they didn't quite understand. But, that's what dad's for. Dad gets to jump in, where I leave off sometimes. But I definitely created something that, it's called My Best. And BEST is an acronym. So B stands for balance. E stands for extras, maybe. S stands for smart moves, and T stands for time management. So I try to use those. My best might not be someone else's best, but I still try to get things done as much as I can.
So you've got, now you've used this great acronym. You have to tell us, how do you use that to take care of yourself? Like, what's an example?
Yeah, like B for balance, right? I have to have balance because I didn't have balance before. Before, it would just be, driving to basketball practice, driving to basketball games, taking care of everybody else, making sure that everyone was okay but me. So I had to start, delegating. I'd be like, hey, to my oldest son, hey, you got to do this. You got, it's your dish day. No matter how late practice is, you got to do the dishes. I had to start delegating so that I could balance, because all work and no play makes I started to not have time for friends because I would get so overwhelmed in my body and even mentally doing everything for everyone else. And I just didn't feel like that was any way to live. I love to serve my family, don't get me wrong, I really do. But delegating is key. So that's a good example.
I like that. I like that. I love the acronym. That's so one, doing our best. So now I know that
I don't know
you were
why I
able-
can't hear Chanel.
Oh, you can't hear? Oh, can you hear me now? Oh,
I can't hear
technology.
Chanel.
Oh, technology is so helpful. We can hear you now, but I want to say thank you so much for being able to join us and sharing this with us. It's such good help to think about. That acronym is probably something that we're going to really, really try to hold on to this season, this holiday season. So we're going to try to see if we can bring you back towards the end of the show and see if we have a little bit better technical situation with you. Okay. All right. So we've been talking about health and trying to manage health and lupus with the holidays. I think it's important for us to get into the thing that we always talk about, right? Dr. Michaela, I'm gonna let you kick it off for the next segment.
Okay, so we have our spotlight on research, and this is where we learn about the path to developing new treatments. And one of the biggest myths that we have explored in the past episode is that any and everyone can just jump into a clinical trial. And it's so much more complex than that. And so to discuss this more, today's topic is inclusion and exclusion criteria. So we have Dr. Megan Lockwood joining us again.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining. Hi.
Hey, great to be here.
Yes, thank you for being here. So you're at MedStar Georgetown University Medical Center, and you see patients, you do lupus research in the DC area there. Tell us a little bit about what made you get into research.
You know, one of the things that I think is so incredibly important in advancing health equity is really ensuring that people have access to clinical trials, especially people who are coming from a diverse background. And so one of the passions that I have is really helping to bridge that gap and increase access for people who are vastly underrepresented in so many of our clinical trials and who really would benefit from a lot of these medications and interventions in lupus.
Oh no, that's so important. Thank you so much for getting into that, because you could really just see patients, and the fact that you're trying to help progress and help them even more is awesome. Now, we know what it means to be included and excluded from a party, from an invite we want to go to, but what does it mean in terms of inclusion and exclusion in a clinical trial? And why is it important?
It's a great question. When doctors and researchers are running a clinical trial, they typically use special rules called the inclusion and exclusion criteria to decide who can take part in the study. And these rules are really important because they help to keep the participants of the study safe, and they make sure that the results of the trial are clear and useful. So for example, some people might be excluded from the trial if the treatment could be risky for them, or if another health issue could make it hard to tell if the treatment works. So by carefully choosing who can and cannot join, researchers and doctors can better understand if a new treatment is safe and effective.
That's helpful.
So give us some examples that the viewers can take away from, like, real life examples of these criteria.
So inclusion criteria they're the things that must be true for somebody to join the study. So for example, a trial might include only people with a certain disease like lupus, or only people within a certain age range. Maybe they're only studying adults, or they're only studying people in their childbearing years. Exclusion criteria are the things that would prevent somebody from joining. like if they have another health problem, if they're planning to become pregnant, or if they're taking certain medications.
Okay,
Thank
those
you.
are good examples. Those are good examples. And I guess that we don't always think about that feeling of exclusion being helpful, but understanding that it has to do with what's best for you as a patient is a really helpful way to think about this. So, considering these criteria, what is it that makes it challenging to find lupus patients for trials? What is hard about having lupus, and what makes lupus challenging to recruit for clinical trials?
So recruiting people for clinical trials in lupus is so challenging, in part because the inclusion and exclusion criteria are so strict, and lupus itself is a complex, unpredictable disease. And as you guys know and experience, lupus affects people in so many different ways, and symptoms can change over time and involve different organs. And so clinical trials usually require that the people have a certain level of disease activity, specific lab results, or a really specific type of lupus. And they often end up excluding those who have really severe organ involvement, like kidney involvement or brain disease, or if they have other kind of unstable health conditions. So trials might only want to include people that have moderate disease activity and stable medication use, but then exclude those people who have those severe kidney problems or severe neuropsychiatric symptoms. But that means that many people with lupus do not qualify, even if they want to participate.
Got it. I was going to say that was really one of my questions. That was my follow-up question, because a lot of people have heard, and I talked to people that are actually interested in trials, and we've heard that we're not sick enough, that myself included, trying to get on a trial. And that it does feel like, oh man, I really want access to these new treatments. I guess, what do you say to that, the fact that some trials require severe disease? Why is that?
I hear that term a lot. They're not sick enough. And I hate that terminology so much, because it doesn't mean that your lupus isn't real or that you're not sick. It just means that we have these super strict criteria for this clinical study, and you're just not the right fit for that study. And those strict criteria are really important for safety, to make sure that the trial results are clear, but it often can mean that only a small group of people can join. Oftentimes, if people have mild disease, their symptoms might not change much or could even improve on their own. So it can make it hard to tell if the drug that's being studied is actually helping. So when you enroll people who are sick enough or sick at a certain level, researchers and doctors can actually better measure the effect of the treatment and get more reliable results. But unfortunately, that means that people are excluded because either their lupus is too mild or it's too severe. It's kind of like a Goldilocks problem. And these criteria, they're not meant to exclude people unfairly. It really is to make sure that the trial can answer the scientific question and protect participants. But it can make it really hard to find the right person to be eligible for a trial. And in a lot of ways, it's like finding a needle in the haystack.
Thank you for breaking that down for us, Dr. Lockwood. I guess the next step would be, what advice do you have for someone who does want to do these trials, has heard no multiple times? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, first, I would say thank you. Thank you for even considering being a part of a clinical trial. That is so important, and we need people to participate to learn more about lupus. And it can be exhausting emotionally and physically to go through the screening process for clinical trials. My advice would be, please stay engaged. Talk with your doctor about what trials you might qualify for, and maybe they're for an observational trial instead of an interventional trial. But hopefully there will be a way for you to participate in the future.
Amazing.
Thank you. That's so helpful. Thank you for helping us understand these steps, and how these extra steps are what allow us to have safety in research, because I know that historically we always talk about a lot of historic things that have been done that impact clinical trial participation, but knowing that there are things that are really actually guardrails to protect people is really, really important. So thank you for the important work you're doing supporting lupus patients out there.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And now we're going to welcome back everyone back on stage to join us for closing thoughts.
Hey, everyone. Oh, there we go. Got everyone now. Welcome back to the stage. We have a final question for the group. We want to know what advice you have for people who are managing stress or dietary challenges around the holidays, especially people living with lupus.
And it could be any holiday. It doesn't just have to be the holidays that we're coming up on. Just what do you think would be helpful for you to think about? Let's start with Ricci.
Okay. I started a movement back in 2019 that's called Delivered from People. So, yes, I love people, but I wanted to become delivered from people pleasing. So, a lot of times, when these holidays come up, you don't always do what's best for yourself. I have been there. I did it for a really long time. So, it wasn't until just a few years ago that I said, I have to do what's best for my health. So I had to be, free from what other people wanted me to do, whether it was to cook a whole bunch of food or, head up this birthday party for one of my kids. I just had to do what was best for me. So that's my advice. Try to be free from people pleasing.
So as the young people do.
Clock that.
Clock that. Jeanine, what's your advice?
I agree with Ricci. I like to delegate tasks. Now that my kids are all grown, I don't feel like I have to do everything when it comes to making the food. They can help out. And I heard something this week on the news that I wrote down because it's so true. It says, you are not obligated to continue holiday traditions that leave you broke, tired, or overwhelmed. And I was like, absolutely. I do what I can and I delegate the rest.
Do what you can and delegate the rest. We're gonna throw it to you, Dr. Lockwood.
What I would say, I completely agree with everything that Ricci and Jeanine said. I would add, just like always, listen to your body, give yourself grace.
Perfect. And Tanya, let us take it home. Let's see what your thoughts are.
Of course, I want everyone to eat your vegetables. Please eat your vegetables. Have some basics on hand. Thinking about the time leading up to the holidays. Look at your schedule. Look at a week. Oh, that week is going to be insane. You know what? The week before, I'm going to make whatever it is, a black bean soup, a pea soup, and I'm going to freeze single servings. So if I am just desperate and I need to grab something on the go on the way to work, great. I have a meal that will nourish me. So I know it does require some boundaries and preemptive thought. But if you can, just really take it as a higher priority. We always put ourselves last when we're thinking of others, but put yourself on that priority list of, I do have to nourish myself.
And Dr. Michaela, let's answer this too. What's your thought?
Well, I feel like we're on a theme of self-care and wellness. So I think the hardest for me, so I'm going to take my own advice, is set aside time just for you, whatever like downtime that is, and relax and recharge.
And for me, that's really good advice, the setting time for yourself. For me, I think my thing is, and I feel like I was talking to somebody, maybe it was you, Ricci, you're saying like the idea of going away, like the idea of not. Yeah, well, we were talking about like some of the plots that we were plotting on your husband to do with you. What were the ones that came up? You had a couple.
Yes, I want to go to like the cabins for either Thanksgiving or Christmas, and we could go out to eat and not cook. Even here, even if we stay in town and go out to eat, I would love that. I have a lot of friends who do it.
See, I think I'm gonna do that. Can I throw one more curveball question to the whole group? I just want to know, what is something that you are thankful for in this season? Just thinking about the season and thinking about this whole year that we've made it through. It's almost December. It's crazy that we made it here. But I would just love everybody to pour some good energy into the universe by just sharing something that you're thankful with. Because I do think that that's one of the things we do forget in the
Mhm.
insanity of the holidays, we don't think about the reason why we're with family. We're thinking about the things we have to do and not the present. So curious, everybody, if anybody wants to just raise their hand and go first. What are you thankful for?
I'm going to be honest. I'm thankful just for another day. Honestly, I don't take it for granted. Unfortunately, there were a lot of deaths this year of loved ones from my church. It was funeral after funeral after funeral this year, and it really made me, realize that I should be thankful every single day, every minute of the day to just be alive. To be able to still be with my mother. My mother's still alive. My father's still alive. And so I don't take it for granted. So I spend a lot of time with them.
Thank you. Would like to go next.
I'll go next. I agree with Ricci. I'm very thankful for my family. Both my parents are still alive. My dad just turned 90 and my mom is 86.
Oh.
And I'm thankful that I made it to 60 because years ago, I didn't feel like I was going to live that long. Right now, I'm presently on the kidney dialysis transplant list and hoping for a kidney in the new year.
Yeah. Sending good energy your way.
Thank
Tanya,
you.
you want to go?
Yes. So I remember very, very vividly the times that I had flares. So it has not gone to this past memory where I don't think about it. And I think that is unique for a lot of people with lupus, that they are young and they are experiencing this chronic illness where their peers are like, yeah, of course my body works. That's the default setting. But we have this unique perspective that no, it doesn't always. So I am grateful every day for the ability to play tennis and pickleball and move my body in ways that bring me joy.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Lockwood.
My family has expanded this year, and so I am so grateful for my family and our health, and I just feel so blessed.
Hey. Yes, yes. Dr. Michaela.
Oh, I mean, I have to, say yes to the family and chosen family, but, especially in the holidays, just having a home, all the food and access to food, and really trying to give back to people who don't. So thinking a lot about that in the holidays.
Oh, and I'm thankful for you all. I know it's so cheesy, but no, I'm really thankful. This show has been doing so well, and I know that we're making an impact. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for being a part of this community, everyone watching, as well as the people in here. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This is great. Yes.
Amazing. This has been such excellent advice. Thank you to Jeanine, Ricci, Tanya, Dr. Lockwood, our return guests. These tips are going to be really, really helpful.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And we have to give a special thank you to all of those out there watching. This is beautiful, whether live or via replay. Please make sure you check out past episodes at youtube.com/@bettertogetherlupus/live. Make sure that you check us out. And yeah, you got time. Watch it.
Yay. And of course, thank you to our friends at Biogen. You have supported this show for 5 seasons. So for more information and to learn more about participating in clinical trials like we talked about today, please scan this QR code on your screen using your camera or go to Biogen, BIOGEN, triallink.com. The direct link is also in the chat. And you can see it here up on the QR slide.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Better Together Lupus. And make sure you join us for our season finale on December 9th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for our next show, which is Mindset Matters. We're going to help you be more mindful and intentional and think positively as we move into 2026.
Okay, and so now we'll put some hearts in the chat as we close the show. So take it away, Chanel.
This family is delicious. all ready to consume laughter and joy with cousins that sometimes annoy, but that we love. With nieces and nephews, all making sure they give you that warm hug. This is the holiday season where we see the blessings right before us laid on a table, put on a tree, or carried with us in our hearts. We are grateful for the opportunity to just be, to breathe, and to know that whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 30 gathered around, you know that you still have community. Even if it's just us, we are still here and loving this family. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Take care.